a quick little lesson for you guys on laying worker. I've made this before, but I'm pretty convinced this hive is a laying worker hive. And I'll give you a little back history on this hive. About a month ago I checked them and their population looked similar to this. Now at the time they still had a little bit of cat brood, but I couldn't find any sign of any eggs or anything like that. And so I gave them a frame of eggs to see what they would do with it, hoping they would raise a queen, and it appears that they did not. Now open it today, immediately I see, you know, okay, for us it's basically, it's October 31st. We're going to be out of drones and out of queens, you know, relatively quickly. We've already had a couple of cold snaps. The hives might have actually booted the drones already, I don't know. Haven't found any yet. But I'm a little late in the year to try to raise a new queen. And this particular hive, you've got maybe 2 frames of bees. It's so hard to do this, but they're not worth carrying through the winter. Now the problem with it at this point is it's laying worker. So even if I give them a queen, they'd probably try to kill her. If I give them eggs, they're not going to raise them into a queen. They're just going to raise them up as more worker brood. But I'll show you the issue with it, why it's laying worker. Smoke them real good, just try to clean the frame off so you guys can see a little better. Your first indication when you pull it out is nothing but drone brood. This looks right up here like it could be a little bit of worker brood, but honestly I think it's just some capped honey. This is all drone brood, okay? And if we look right up here in these cells, I think the camera is actually capturing it, maybe. Let me see. Gotta get the bees off of it so y'all can see. We're trying to look down in the bottom of the cells at the eggs, and you see, okay, right there in the middle of the screen, you see that cell with 2 eggs in it, maybe 3. And that's your real good indication when you start to see cells with multiple eggs. Now a virgin queen sometimes will do that. A virgin queen will drop eggs on the side of a cell or something like that. She'll do some silly things, but she'll only do that briefly for a day or 2 maybe, if she does it at all. But this is when you've got nothing but drone brood and you've got a messy egg pattern. And when I say messy egg pattern, I mean those multiple eggs per cell. If I had random eggs just scattered around, I wouldn't be as concerned. I could think virgin queen again, but again, we're going to go in on these cells here and try to see. I think that's where I was seeing the multiple eggs a second ago. I think on the back side it's a little easier to see. Let me get it turned around here. Oh, now I got to smoke them off. What I'm going to do with this hive, of course I didn't bring my tripod out here because I didn't think I was planning on making any videos this morning. I was just going to come do a quick hive inspection. Maybe I can switch hands. I saw some better drone brood on, or some better multiple cell, multi-egg cells on this side, I think. Get the camera to look in there. Oh man, it's gonna be really hard for you guys to see. It's hard for me to see because the sun is just starting to peek through the trees. There's some eggs in those. And that one actually, like there right in the middle of the screen, you see 1 egg in the bottom of that cell. That looks really good. I'm gonna put the phone down here or the camera down here for a second and look at myself. Oh man, I wish you guys could see this in the same light that I can. Look at that. Bingo. 3-4 eggs per cell, something like that. I can get the camera to actually focus in the bottom. Oh, look at that. Look at all the eggs in those cells. That's your laying worker syndrome right there. Sorry, it took me a while to get it. So what I'm going to do with this hive, I think I've successfully requeened a laying worker hive 1 time. But if I just toss a queen in here right now, they're going to kill her. So this late in the year, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to give up on this hive I'm not going to try to save them, and so I'm going to combine them. But again, because they're laying worker, they will try to hurt a queen in a new hive. And so what I always do, what I like to do, is just basically open them up and feed them to the wolves, so to speak. I'll take the bottom off this hive, take the top off this hive, and I'll just expose them so they don't feel secure anymore. And the easiest way to do that, well, I thought, the easiest way to do that is just to stand the hive up like this without smashing all the bees. I'm going to just pull it back so it stands up on its face and just leave it like that. So that is kind of like they might cluster on it today or tomorrow, but I'm thinking the sun's going to come up today. It's going to be a beautiful day. And ultimately, when they feel exposed, they don't feel safe, they'll fly out and they'll go trying to look for a new hive to join. If this doesn't get them cleaned out here shortly, I'll actually take and I'll shake them all off of all those frames and, you know, move their box over here somewhere where they can't necessarily find it. And then that'll just kind of tell them, okay, we're stuck here, let's stay here. Or, you know, they won't go looking for the box that is their home. They'll go trying to beg their way into a new hive. And when they have to beg their way into a new colony, that's when they get slapped around and told to stop being laying workers. So again, if you just dump them in with an active queen, they might actually try to kill her because the laying workers think that they're the queen too at that point. That's kind of how I explain it anyway, rationalize it. So you have to make them sort of ask permission to get into a new hive. And when they do that, they'll realize that there's a dominant queen. And that dominant queen's pheromones will actually suppress a worker's urge to want to lay eggs. So that's the idea. These bees, they're not dead. They're not going to necessarily starve to death or, you know, just die. But as a colony, as a group of bees, I'm cutting them off. You know, there's just not enough of them. Even if I gave them a frame with cat brood and I tried to get them a new queen that they would accept, their population's already so low they're not worth carrying through the winter. So we're going to cut them off. I'm going through today and just breaking down, taking spare supers off the top of these boxes, getting them reduced down to nukes for the winter, which again, that's down here in the south where we barely get a frost. So I'm okay with carrying just a 5-frame nuke through the winter. So that's what I'm trying to do, get all the spare boxes off and get them over to the shop. Maybe we can actually get them all cleaned up and painted and prepped, because that looks like crap. I want all that fixed and painted and ready for next year. That's the plan. Okay, laying worker in a nutshell. Well, here's another exception to the rule. Look at the dot on her back. It's like a bronze color, not black. I always tell people in the beekeeping class, look for that shiny black spot, shiny black thorax. That's not black. I tell people, you know, don't look for a lot of people say, oh, look for the copper abdomen. You know, oh, you gotta look for the big copper abdomen, because they're thinking about Italian queens, which we see so many tiger tails down here, so many crossbreeds. I don't ever tell people to look for a copper abdomen. I always say look for that shiny black thorax. Well, I guess now I gotta tell them look for the rusty red bronze thorax. Just a quick little lesson there for you on the queens. Look at this. If that's not gentle bees, I don't know what is. Look at them. Couldn't be bothered. They're not cold. It's 65, 70 degrees this morning. They're not cold. That's not why they're sitting so still. I just popped this top box off of them. Already blew a little smoke on them. They're just calm. Very calm. Which is, it's almost spooky. It's probably the calm before the storm. They're probably about to come out here and rip me up. Okay. Just wanted to show it. Interesting how steady they are. Very calm. That's a good thing. Let's see if I can show you guys. This is a healthy hive, okay? And by healthy, I mean not laying worker. See the eggs in the cells? 1 egg per cell, smack in the bottom. Perfect every time. That's a good queen. That is not laying worker. Watching our queen here. I opened up the hive, was digging through it, and I found her, and I actually spotted her running around with an egg hanging halfway out her back end. It's like she couldn't find a cell to put it in. She was ready, rapid fire. Now by the time I got the camera up, she had dropped it. But I'm watching to see if she keeps running around here, if maybe we can't get her lay another one. And see how they cover her up like that? And where'd she go? I can't hardly even keep up with her. There she is. So she's crawling around, looking for any cells she can find that's open to put an egg in. And I'm actually going to give her a frame of open comb. I'm going to condense this hive down, but they had a frame in here that didn't have any comb drawn on it. So I'm going to give her a frame of drawn comb. Oh, is it that one? Is it that one, honey? No. Thinking about it. Lost her again. Alright, another lesson for you guys. What happens when you put the wrong frame in the box? In this case, a medium frame in a deep box. You get this strip of comb on the bottom, which is fine, so long as this medium frame forever stays in this deep box. But because it's on the bottom, it's actually drawn a little bit deeper than a deep frame would be. If I try to move it up into the upper deep, it'll reach down and tag the top of the top bars in the lower deep. Obviously I can't put it in a medium. If I want to try to put it in a medium box, I got to shave all that off with a knife, which I will eventually. That is the plan. But this is something I mentioned in the beekeeping classes, and I preach a little bit, you know, just use the right frame for the right box. And clearly right here I'm guilty of not doing that. But that was actually a remnant. You can see the rubber bands. That was actually a remnant when I went and did this removal. It was a cutout. And the space they were in, this was from the carriage bees. If you guys go back, I think about a year, late 2017, the carriage bees, their combs were only about 6 inches tall. And so I put them in medium frames versus deep frames so they fit better. But now I'm still fighting that because all I had that day with me was a deep box. Now I'm still fighting that because they drew out those frames longer. So I just need to go through one day with a knife, just whack it off there. It's not that big of a deal to do it, but it's just another one of those things that kind of slows you down and becomes a pest because I can't just grab that frame and throw it in another box like I'd like to be able to from time to time. So anyway, just want to show that to you, another little tip there. Use the right frame in the right box, makes everything a lot simpler.